Good afternoon, Firewolf families. This afternoon, instead of sending out the regular Samueli source with the news of the week, I'm sending this video to convey some information to you about our school cancellation for the COVID-19 virus. So the first thing I wanted to share with you is that when we communicated with our students about the school closure, we went to every classroom in person. Our team divided up and made the announcement so that each student could hear for themselves the announcement instead of sending out an email. And the reason we did that is we wanted to communicate a message of leadership and social responsibility. So we spoke with the students about ways they could communicate with their friends and family and be supportive and think about ways that they could be responsible in the community. And it really was a message of precaution. And it's really important, we feel as a team, to communicate those kinds of messages of leadership and of taking a stand versus one of fear and anxiety. We know that a lot of students, and as parents too, can be really uncomfortable with what's happening right now. And then you go to the grocery store and there's like stuff's missing, right, that we're not used to. And so we really wanted our students to think about the fact that now is a time for them to step up and be leaders in this future world that they get to create. So we really talked about that with the students, and that was the message. Second, I also wanted to share with you why we're sending out optional activities rather than continuing the instruction in all of the core classes. As you know, Samueli Academy really values the type of instructional approach that we use. Our teaching staff is highly trained and supported on in-person instructional practice, and we haven't really had the time to develop the kind of tools that our staff and students would need to have a really high quality learning experience that would be similar to what they receive in our school. And so instead of saying, okay, here's your math, here's your English, here's your social studies, and have it be completely different from the regular experience, we're providing over these 2 weeks meaningful activities. And those 2 weeks have a couple of purposes. One, to keep students sort of meaningfully engaged in learning, particularly those who really want to do that, but then also to help our staff get some experience with that kind of online setup so that in 2 weeks' time, if we do end up moving to a longer cancellation or find ourselves in more of a virtual learning approach, we would have the experience and some tools to be ready for that. So we were really committed to the learning needs of your students, and that is why we are sending out activities that are optional as opposed to a core set of activities for each subject area. We will have, the campus will be closed to students and to families. We'll have a small number of staff that are manning the phones so that if you call in, we can hear from you, we can stay connected with you. However, we do not anticipate nor are we prepared for students to come down to the campus. So if your student says, oh, I need to meet a few friends over at the campus to record something, or we're doing some kind of school related activity, that is on pause for 2 weeks and they need to make a different choice. And we encourage them, of course, to stay inside and stay with a smaller group of people. You'll be hearing from us via advisory teachers. And so advisory teachers are prepared to communicate with students in their advisory class 3 times a week. And so they'll be reaching out with you. The first option is via email. So if your student is not in the habit of checking their email regularly, please encourage them to do so. That is how they will find the information that is needed. And that's also the first stop that advisors are likely to make. They may also use other tools such as Remind or phone calls, things like that. And so if you have any needs or you're concerned about your students specifically, please reach out to your advisory teacher. That will be the primary method. I've also received some questions about whether or not we're going to tack these 2 weeks onto the end of the school year. My understanding is no, we will not. Things could change, but the current plan is that we would just essentially cancel these 2 weeks and then resume on March 30th. The state does have a precedent for this in the wildfire situation. Several school districts were closed for some period of time, and rather than tacking that time on the end, the state granted a waiver for those instructional minutes, and that is what the governor has communicated to schools in the state of California, that there will be flexibility around that. And so our anticipation is we will still end on June 5th at end of year. Seniors will still do activities, etc. At that time. Of course, we don't know what could happen, and so we are committed to right now a 2-week closure. Returning March 30th, we would be in school for 1 week and then we'd have spring break. So we're not going to change spring break no matter what happens. The only scenario that I might envision is different is if we do end up canceling that 3rd week of school, and then we would lead into a 4th week of spring break. And so regardless of what changes, what information comes, we will not be holding school the week of April 6th, which is our scheduled spring break. If you have any other questions, again, please reach out to your advisory teacher. You can call our front office starting Monday. I also want to just close by appreciating your students. They were very responsible. They responded very calmly. They were very optimistic, and I think they were hopeful about their opportunities to be leaders. And so please express our appreciation and honor their voice and leadership in the way that they responded. And this is why we're such a loving family here at Samueli Academy, because we have such amazing students. So thank you so much for your support. And if you have any questions, please reach out to us.